Yes, indeed. It's only a way of putting myself in the right position for that ideal public, because the danger is to please an immediate public, the immediate public that comes around you and takes you in and accepts you and gives you success and everything. Instead of that, if you wait for your public that should come 50 years, 100 years after your death, that's the right public I want.
It's a rather ascetic attitude. I can see that you...
At the beginning of the 20th century, the Society of Independent Artists was founded in New York City. This organization wanted to create a platform for avant-garde artists, meaning artists that are more experimental and that diverge from conventions. In 1917, the first annual exhibition was held by the Society. It had no jury nor prizes and was to accept any form of art as long as the artist paid the entry fee. One of its directors was named Marcel Duchamp, who, only 5 years earlier, saw one of his paintings refused at the Salon des Indépendants in Paris. If you're interested, last week's video was on this painting. The Society of Independent Artists received an upside-down urinal, signed by a certain R. Mutt. It was thought to be a joke and was rejected by the committee as it was considered vulgar and immoral, while some said it was outright plagiarism. This is a statement made by the committee. Fountain may be a very useful object in its place, but its place is not in an art exhibition, and it is by no definition a work of art. Duchamp, in protest, left the organization as he believed they weren't as open-minded as they claimed to be. Alfred Stieglitz, a famous photographer, photographed it and most likely threw it away, making this picture the last document of Fountain. This whole event was subject to controversy. The Blind Man, a Dada magazine, published a text by Louise Norton. It says, "Whether Mr. Mutt, with his own hands, made the fountain or not, has no importance. He chose it. He took an ordinary article of life, placed it so that its useful significance disappeared under the new title and point of view, created a new thought for that object." And so began the conversation which made this artwork so revolutionary. It made the art world think about what's art and what makes an artwork art. What Fountain did is to define art as a concept rather than an object. An artist's intentions and the creative process behind a piece is what gives an object artistic value. This is exactly what Dadaism was. Dadaism was a conceptual art movement which criticized the art world and forced us to think. Marcel Duchamp was a key figure in that art movement, and he developed, later in the 50s, a concept called retinal art, which is art that only appeals to the eye and not to the mind. In 1946, he said this, "I was interested in ideas, not merely in visual products. I wanted to put painting once again at the service of the mind." So you probably won't be surprised when learning that R. Mutt, the mysterious artist behind Fountain, was actually Marcel Duchamp. In fact, Duchamp already created ready-mades before 1917. Ready-mades are, according to André Breton in Dictionnaire abrégé du surréalisme, an ordinary object elevated to the dignity of a work of art by the mere choice of an artist. Ready-mades were a way for the artist to fight retinal art, to make people look beyond the object and think of the artistic process. Duchamp used a false name in order to hide his identity, as he was part of the board of directors. He apparently had a woman bring Fountain to the exhibition and wrote to his sister, "One of my female friends under a masculine pseudonym, Richard Mutt, sent in a porcelain urinal as a sculpture." There has been theories as to who actually made Fountain. Maybe Duchamp's friend sent the urinal on behalf of him so he couldn't get recognized, or maybe this woman really is the artist behind Fountain. Either way, Fountain changed 20th century art as it made people rethink about the role of the artist, the role of art in society, and fundamentally, what art is. It made a separation between craft and art, as Fountain is now recognized as art even though it wasn't crafted by an artist. You may not find the urinal interesting, and that's completely fine. It's not meant to be looked at for hours. It's meant to spark a discussion, to create questions. Fountain in itself is not very interesting, but when it originates conversations and thoughts, that's when it becomes fascinating. We'd like to thank our supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to become a patron, check us out on patreon.com/thecanvas.